Hi everyone, welcome to SpeakerPro. My name's Dan Sodergren. You might be thinking, why is Dan going to take up 25 minutes of our time now? Well, I'm going to be talking about SpeakerPro, and I really want to present this idea to you because I've been a keynote speaker for more than 2 decades, and I know that fundamentally the keynote speaking business has changed massively over the last 2 or 3 years. It is tougher and tougher and tougher out there to do this as a job and a career. And I want you to use this piece of technology which I've built specifically to help you with your post-event marketing. I've built this because I believe in the speaker community. I believe that technology can help us. I believe technology can help you stay ahead, and it is vital for your business. So this is a presentation about SpeakerPro and what SpeakerPro can do for you. SpeakerPro is going to be one of the tools I'm going to be creating, a whole suite of tools for the speaker.marketing people, i.e. our community of speakers. So here's to you using SpeakerPro, and over to me for the presentation. Hi everyone, welcome to SpeakerPro. My name is Dan Sodergren, and there's only 3 things in life. There's only 3 things in life, ladies and gentlemen. There's time, money, and energy. Time, money, and energy. I'm most probably going to run out of time, so I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm not going to run out of energy, or sometimes I like to call it love. Love and energy sometimes can be swapped around. I'm a bit of a hippie, so I believe that's the case. So love and energy. I love the speaker community. I love that the energy that we create, and I love the fact that we can make a positive difference to this world. But here's a question for you. It's all around energy, actually, and a power law. So if you took the America, and as a percentage, how much of America would you have to cover to be able to power the entire world, not with love, but with energy? So how much of America would you need to cover to power the whole world, did it with solar panels, power the whole world for all the time, so to speak? So as a percentage, how much of America would you have to cover in solar panels to be able to power the whole world? That's my question for you. I always start my keynotes with a question. I don't know about you. Sometimes those questions are asked by the client for me to ask, and sometimes I create them up. And then sometimes I'll do it online, sometimes I'll do it offline. Either way, I get the joy of creating keynotes and asking those questions. And sometimes I'm lucky enough to be able to make statements like this one when I did my TEDx talk in Brighton, and I talk about the future of work, technology, and AI. So my name's Dan Sodergren, and I do a variety of different things like training and workshops and consultations, as well as just keynote speaking. And I'm very lucky to do that for lots of different brands. I'm also, after a 2 decades, should I say, of doing this, I'm also very lucky to work for the BBC and for other media organisations. So that's me, Dan Sodergren. If you don't know who I am, I'm a BBC media expert, keynote speaker like yourself. I'm a TEDx talker. I'm also an author as well. And that author bit is pretty important because at the end of this presentation, I want to give you a free book. Now, it's up to you which one you'd like, but I think maybe broadcast might be the one for the people on this, listening to this and on this call, because broadcast is about how you can get onto the BBC and raise your credibility as a keynote speaker. So what's this got to do with SpeakerPro? Well, I've been a keynote speaker for more than 2 decades, and I started to realise that I was leaving a lot of money on the table. Yes, I was doing some great keynotes, but I wasn't following up enough. There was lots of money out there, loads of people I was talking to, loads of people I was doing events for, but I was leaving money on the table because I was going for more keynotes through my agents, etc. And my agents, etc., weren't that bothered by these other bits of money that were out there. And I suddenly realised that actually I could utilise a piece of technology to help. So I don't know if you're like me, but you may have tried to use technology before. You may have tried to use people too. You might have employed folk. You might have had interns or virtual assistants to help you, or you might even have a team. I don't have a team, so it's just me. So I tried different ways of doing it with different CRMs and different email approaches, all different types of stuff, because of course I do marketing. So it's really important to me to get this bit right. But I don't know if this has happened to you, and it's happened to me now countless times. I've done great talks, 200 plus people in a room, amazing energy, amazing atmosphere. People have loved the talk. They've come up to me afterwards, we've done the selfies, they've given business cards and all these things. And there have also been promised testimonials from sponsors and from the organisers. But let's be honest, people are busy, and so they hired you for a reason. They pay you to do something, and then you're gone. And they're not bothered about the fact that you can't follow up with people. They're not bothered that you didn't get those testimonials that they promised. They're not bothered that you even the promised attendee list gets to you. And this happened to me on many occasions throughout my career, but especially last year, where something really, in my opinion, really bad happened. I was invited to do a keynote. They got more than 200 people to come to the keynote. They promised me the attendee list, and in the end, they didn't do that. Now, that annoyed me because they weren't paying me for the keynote. And the keynote was done actually through a non-for-profit organisation called the AI Teacher Course, which had also started with Janine Atkin. And so therefore, we couldn't do the marketing to them. And that, I thought that was really bad form. So I thought, actually, there's a better way of doing this. Instead of kind of trusting event organisers and trusting our agents and trusting all these other people to do basically the work that we should be doing for us, why don't we utilise a piece of technology? And that's why I built this idea. So SpeakerPro is literally because I needed it to happen. And I've now used it over the last few months, and honestly, it has changed my business. So why do smart speakers follow up? So did you know that the money in speaking is slightly different to what people believe? Yes, there are different levels of speakers, and you could be a starter or established and even a positioned expert. But there's also another stage on from this where you're charging more than £10,000 for a keynote. And I'm very lucky to be on agencies and on books and have friends who actually do this as well. And it's a very privileged position to be in. But you've really got to think for yourself, where are you in this business? And how do you get up those rankings? How do you do this? Well, one way is to start your own business. I'm lucky enough to have started several. I've done a TEDx talk, so yes, I've published several books as well. And I've also sharpened my positioning. And again, there's lots of people that can help you do all these things to kind of go up those rankings, kind of rise your way up and to increase your rate card. But SpeakerPro isn't really about that. SpeakerPro is about making the most of what happens, because in reality, keynote speakers do not get paid as much as people think. Or maybe let's put it a different way. Only a certain percentage of keynote speakers get paid an awful lot of money. So the average keynote speaker actually gets paid between £2,000 to £2,500. Now that is no bad thing, but if you're only doing 10, maybe 12 a year, that can affect the income that you bring in. If you're not looking to do this as a hobby, you've got to start thinking, how can I make more money from my appearances? Especially if you're doing your appearances for free. So what was the question I asked to start off with at the beginning of my talk? Well, it was all about America. If you covered America in solar panels, or how much of America would you need to cover in solar panels to power the entire world? And the answer is actually 3 to 4%. 3 to 4%. Isn't that mind-blowing? The reason why I talk about it is it's a power law. It's a power law. It's exactly the same as 3 to 4% of YouTube is monetizable. But the 3 to 4% for speakers and for the speaker industry is that 3 to 4% of the speakers make, drumroll please, make 80 to 90% of the money out there. 80 to 90% of the money out there, which is why, of course, you've got some keynote speakers who are literally paid £100,000 plus to do a keynote. And I think we've got to therefore look at the speaker industry in a different way. We have to digitally transform it, but we also need to be really aware that in this time of mass change, the keynote industry is going to change. And so I'd say this to you: if it's not you, then who? And if not now, then when? My point being here is that you control your own destiny. You control what you're going to do as your keynote speaking career. And I honestly believe, because I've used it myself, SpeakerPro will help you. But it only helps a certain type of person. If you're too far along the journey in your speaking career, then I don't think SpeakerPro is for you. And I know that might sound a bit strange, but if you are making more than 100K a year, I think you should be employing other folk and doing other things to make more money. I think you're in that top percentage that we talked about. So SpeakerPro really is for us. It's for everybody else. Those people who are not making 75K a year from this, people who are doing 3 to 12 gigs a year, and some of them could be for free. They're charging that £2,500 or £2,000 up to the £10,000 or £15,000. That is who SpeakerPro is for. It's also for people who are the ABC, as I call it, able to use technology, but are time-strapped, are business-minded, i.e. you look at this not as a hobby or not as a brand-building exercise, but actually as something you want to do as a business, and also you're control-orientated. By this, I mean that you realise the power of the data that we are giving away and the opportunity that we're giving away by losing that data, losing those relationships. And this is the reason why I built SpeakerPro, to make sure that doesn't happen. The last thing to think about is this, and I don't know if you've ever heard about it, it's something called the long tail. The long tail is a principle in technology, and I've been lucky enough to build several technology companies, and this is kind of a thing, almost it's like a general law about all these things, is that tech companies are possible to monetize themselves through what we call the long tail. Amazon does this, Google does this, many companies do this. But this principle is really important for the speaker community. Maybe we've never thought about it enough, because actually there's loads of money in the long tail. The long tail being the trainings, the workshops, the consultations, these things. This is where the money is for most of us. You know, if you're not part of that top 3 or 4%, this is where the money is. It's those extra relationships that are in the long tail. And so far as a community and as an industry, we haven't taken advantage of it. We've left the money on the table. So how do smart speakers follow up? Well, the reason why I built SpeakerPro is because the secret of change, is what I truly believe, is the secret of change is to focus all your energy. Remember, we talked about time, money, and energy, but make sure that you are, make sure you're building something new. You know, it's not about fighting the old. It's not about fighting that power law and saying this isn't fair. It's just about moving on and building something new. And that is what SpeakerPro is. So for several months, I've been doing this process manually, and I realized I could digitally transform my own business and not have to pay people to do so, but to build a piece of technology to help me with that follow-up. Because I knew I was losing lots of different opportunities that were out there. I was doing great talks, but I wasn't doing the follow-up. It was, I was spending hours. If I did do the follow-up, I was spending hours on it, and I was agonizing over things. And it took me a long time to create graphics and do the selfies and all these things, but also I wasn't looking at the data. I wasn't looking at that enough. And that's what SpeakerPro allowed you to do. It also allows you to create different types of marketing, which is so important as a keynote speaker. It's so important as we are brands online that you can create these testimonial graphics. And these testimonial graphics is what I wasn't getting before. So last year, I did a keynote. It was 200 people. It was a great keynote. People came up to me, did the selfies, did the whole thing. They got the business cards, followed up with people. But in the end, we weren't getting as many sales as I would like. So this year, with the same audience size, 61 QR scans, an automated follow-up sequence that I did, and I got 10 sales meetings booked because of it. It's literally changed my year. It's literally changed my life. So in the last 3 months, 700 plus attendees, 150 testimonials, 50 leads generated, and more than 32 hours saved per event. It is literally game-changing. It allows you to do more of what you love by utilizing something like SpeakerPro. So how does it work? Well, you simply get a free QR code that you can put at the end of your presentation, end of your webinar, end of your podcast, and of anything that's online and digital and people can see the screen. They then scan the QR code. They then get given a free digital gift, which you decide, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, what you could give. And then they get to experience the feedback opportunity to give you a testimonial. And this really, really works because it means that you can start ranking your talks. You can see what testimonials, you can see what worked, you can see what didn't. So join SpeakerPro. If you haven't already joined SpeakerPro, join the waitlist. Because I truly believe that you need to transform every speaking gig into an opportunity to make more money. Now, it took me quite a long time. We only talked about time, money, and energy. It's taken a long time to build this. Now, there is a great argument that says nowadays, utilizing lots of different technologies, you could build your own. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm saying that SpeakerPro already exists, and it would take you a long time to build something like this because it's taken me a long time to do so. So what can SpeakerPro do for you? Well, did you know that every appearance should build your business? Every appearance should build your business. Every appearance which takes that time and that energy, it should make you more money. And it can do when you utilize this piece of technology with the free QR code. So you can put the QR code when you're speaking on a webinar. You could do it on as a guest on a video podcast. You could put it even at the end of YouTube videos. I've done that too. Obviously the presentation moment, the keynote thing, yes. But if you're only doing 3 or 4 keynotes a year, there's lots of different places you can use it in trainings and in workshops and all these things. I've tested it in all of them and it still works. Because when people see you do a live talk and at the moment at the end of your talk, then they love scanning the QR code. This is doing so when I did my talk over in Hull. Yeah. So what can you give? That's what a lot of speakers think is, what could I give? What else could I do to entice people to do that QR code scanning? And a lot of people think, well, Dan, you made this for books. Surely books is the only thing. But actually, no. There's lots of different things you could give. Yeah. There's audio summaries you could do. You could do a behind the scenes video. You could do a replay of the talk if you're lucky enough to have it videoed. You can do, and this is what I've done a couple of times, and it really works, a mini podcast episode of the very talk you've done. For the very talk you've done, you then use a piece of AI technology. You could use Notebook LM I used, and it can create a podcast around the talk. I know loads of speakers who are always saying, I haven't got a book, but I've written the first chapter. Use the first chapter as the thing to entice people to scan that QR code. Do a blog post, do a deep dive blog post, much bigger than the other ones. You could do that. You could do a personal follow-up letter with some hints and tips, top tips from the talk. You've already done the talk. So that's the point. SpeakerPro is to make sure that you utilize everything you've already done and you unlock the potential of your talk, but also how to make money from that talk. You could do a reading list and curated resources. You've already got all this stuff together to create a talk. You could simply put it on a PDF and then give that away as your digital gift. You could do a private resources page. You could do a live Ask Me Anything invite. You could do a Miro board and visual board. You must probably already done this already. So you might as well utilize it to get people to give you their email address and become a lead and to want to interact with you more to get that relationship so you can get more sales. And then the last one, you could do something like an interactive survey or a form or even a scorecard app. There's so many different things you can do. So I did a bit of research on LinkedIn about this, and I found, much to my kind of shock, to be fair, that actually people didn't just want a book. I originally built SpeakerPro simply because I had 10 different digital books. It's a great way to hand out books, yeah. But people actually just want the top tips as well. So something like 37% of people are happy just with the top tips. For those top tips from your talk, you've already created. You've already done the synopsis. You've already done the talk. You can get AI or yourself, simply go through it and create those top tips in a PDF. So everybody has a digital gift they can give. And when you give away that digital gift, then SpeakerPro can do this. SpeakerPro then collects their testimonials and creates graphics automatically for you, saving you hours of work. You can then create a collage like this one. I added in a few selfies and some other things, but you could make it a bit more simple with it. You could simply use the testimonials themselves, or you could use testimonials and put a bit of branding on there, which is what I've done here. So those testimonials is just so important when it comes to your marketing. And if you can do it quickly enough and you can follow up quickly enough, you can make more money. And that's the thing, time, money, and energy. It's all about time. So when can you join SpeakerPro? Because that's about time too. Well, I've got good news. We paused SpeakerPro joining over the summer because we started to redesign it. And the reason why we redesigned SpeakerPro is because I knew when I've had a few people using it as well as myself, that actually the opportunity here was to give the data to the speaker. So as the speaker, not only do you get the CSV file and those leads and all those other things and the amazing testimonial graphics, but also that gets delivered straight into your Google Drive or your OneDrive, depending on which one you use. It gets delivered straight to you almost instantly, and then you can utilize it in your marketing straight away. That means that we're not holding the data. We are not the platform holding this thing and controlling the data. You control your data, and that is hugely important to me. We're also going to go into stealth mode in the next couple of months. So not everyone's going to know about this thing because we might get the opportunity to get some investment and maybe go on an accelerator, but I'll keep you updated with that. So literally over using it the last 6 months, a bit of an update here. It's been about 800 attendees to my things. There's been 170 testimonials. That's 10 times more than I was getting before. There's probably about 10 times more leads as well, because that's 54 leads. I've saved hours upon hours, days of doing this automatically. Because I've been doing it automatically, I've saved hours, should I say. And then I've had more than 14 sales meetings because of it. So because of all that time I've managed to save, I've been able to put my energy into sales. And because of that, that has made me hours, should I say. And then I've had more than 14 sales meetings because of it. So because of all that time I've managed to save, I've been able to put my energy into sales. And because of that, that has made me more money. Literally for me, a year-changing amount of money, because before, keynote speaking was not necessarily drying up, but there wasn't as much as last year. But now what I've managed to do is with trainings and with workshops and consultations, I'm supplementing the fact there are more keynote speakers out there, and so there's less keynote work for me by utilizing SpeakerPro and doing this way of thinking. So how are we going to do this? This is a bit different, okay? Because we're going to be in stealth mode, what we're going to be doing is offering you a one-to-one consultation with myself, where you can talk about AI and marketing, which is what I mainly talk about, or how to use AI in your business. And you get that £199 consultation almost for free, because we're also going to give you SpeakerPro for free. So it depends which way you want to look at it. You're either going to get SpeakerPro for free or the consultation for free. Either way, it's going to go through Great Marketing Works, not through SpeakerPro itself, because we're not going to launch that company just yet. So, of course, with SpeakerPro, you still get all the good stuff. You get the branded QR code, you get the instant digital gift delivery, you get the thank you emails, you get the AI-generated testimonials for you to use, and the CSV files and all that cool stuff delivered straight into your, whether it's your OneDrive or into your G Drive, it's straight into your computer. So, you book a 1 hour consultation with me. It's exactly the same consultation process that you'd get. So all the value, great value and benefit from that. That's $199. You book it most probably through the Stan Store, but it will not be forever, this deal. It cannot be forever because we're going to be going on the accelerator and doing other things. So you do not have long. Remember, we talked about time, money, and energy. You do not have long to take up this offer because technically you're getting SpeakerPro for free. So how do you get this special offer of SpeakerPro? Well, you can come and find me on LinkedIn. Simply direct message me on LinkedIn. Come and find me at Dan Sodergren, or you can email me at dan@greatmarketingworks.co.uk. That's dan@greatmarketingworks.co.uk. Or you can even WhatsApp me on my new number on 07 514 583 363. That's 07 514 583 363. I'm so excited that you might be part of SpeakerPro. I built this as a keynote speaker myself for the speaker community, and I really truly know that this will make a massive difference to your business. So come and find me, come and be part of SpeakerPro. As I say, you can be part of this, but also you can get this free book from me, as I did promise, a free book from me, which is using Broadcast. So this is called Broadcast. Broadcast is the free book you can get from me simply by scanning this QR code, and the QR code should be coming up soon. So the QR code is simply here now. So there you go. SpeakerPro is a fantastic way of interacting and to get as many leads as you possibly can from the audience that you already have in front of you. So simply scan this QR code, get any of my books for free, including that one, Broadcast, which will help you get onto the BBC. I promise I'll put this on the screen for about 10 seconds. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,